Hello, hello. Welcome to Mondays with Michelle. We are excited to be here with you today. I'm Michelle. This is Heather.
Hello.
We are going to be answering your questions that you may emailed in, and I'm excited to see what Spirit has to share with you today. So Heather's going to read the questions, and I will let you know what information is coming through.
Perfect. Okay, we had some questions. Susan had some more questions that we didn't get to last week, so we're going to finish those up, and then we'll move on.
I am moving our camera. As you guys know, Heather and I are working on lives. You know that Heather knows this about me. You guys don't know this. Technology is not my gift. Cooking is not my gift, but I'm a good medium.
You're fantastic medium. I can cook.
Heather can cook.
Technology either.
So we're working on this. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, be patient with us.
Yeah.
We're working on it, but it's fun.
It's fun.
Okay, so a question from Susan. Why are things seemingly speeding up? Change and complexity of our world is getting faster and faster.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I would agree in it too. So there's a couple of things going on right now. We have multiple timelines that are converging. And if you talk to people who talk about quantum physics or anything along those lines, what you're going to find out is there are more than one timeline at play right now. And so because of that, and because of the intensity, so let's talk about the intensity of the world. It's everywhere. I mean, even you go out to eat and you hear people at the table next to you talking, and it's usually not good. It's intense. It's what's happening. Right. There's a lot of health issues that are popping up right now. Anyway, with that being said, time is feeling like it's speeding up. But what is happening with that is we are getting ready to elevate to the next level of humanity. And because of that, it's almost like if you were going to jump, you might take a little run before you did your jump, right? And so we're getting the momentum behind us.
Okay. So when you talk about like getting ready to take the next step, is that here in this earthly realm, or are you talking about like once we pass to that next step and that's going to speed up?
I am talking about this earthly realm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It happens when we pass anyway, or when we transition. That's a natural part of it. But this is really about Earth. So our planet is going through a shift. We know this. Like you can tell by the weather, you can tell by the news, you can tell by people's attitudes. And that's really what we're looking for, is the little run before the jump.
Okay, so the planet is getting ready, like as a whole, with humanity to make that big adjustment and change. Because yes, you can feel it everywhere.
Right. And I guess we could call it the collective consciousness. So of this planet, which includes animals, plants, humans, all of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's the best way to deal with anxiety?
Yeah. So, I mean, number one, we got to find out what is causing the anxiety. Is it chemical imbalance? Is it life situation? Is it job loss? Is it fear? Fear is always the root cause of the anxiety. But the question is, what is it that we're fearing? So I want to be really clear. We live in a society right now that is running on fear. If you don't believe it, turn on the news, watch how people are hitting each other and killing and on and on and on. So fear is always going to be the root of anxiety. But what we really need to do is figure out what is the fear and why. And when we tap into the fact that we are all really, truly powerful souls who came here to play human, which means you're very strong, you deserve a badge of courage, it helps to alleviate the anxiety, as well as there could be a couple other things going on in the background.
Great, thank you. What's the best way to deal with something you are suffering over?
Oh, that's a big question, right?
That
so it's really, that's a wide question, because it depends on what are you suffering over. Are you suffering from the grief of a relationship that ended? Are you suffering from the transition of a loved one? Are you suffering from a job loss, right? But once again, we're going to go back in and tap into the fact that you're a powerful soul, and that with the difficulty of endings comes new beginnings. Even though it might not be what we were hoping for at the time, your soul has a plan, and you are not here without the tools that you need to overcome these challenges.
Yes. And sometimes I think we want to avoid the suffering because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we don't want to. And sometimes it's the very thing that we have to do to move through it and get to the next step.
Absolutely.
Because we want to like push it away because it's like, this hurts. I don't like this.
Yeah. And what you'll notice, look back over your own life. Every time that you have probably grown in life, whether it's mentally or emotionally, it's been because of a challenge. So think about that heavenly realm. It's perfect. It's amazing. What do? Our soul chooses to come to planet Earth to have this experience in the contrast so that we can learn and grow and evolve. So it's always going to be part of our evolution, and you're strong enough to handle whatever the challenge is.
Great. Okay, here we go. Why is Trump in office? Is our economy going to go into a recession due to the tariffs? And how will that impact us?
Okay, so I'm going to be really clear. I don't really identify as somebody who is political at all. What I will tell you is I am here to hold the light for humanity to evolve. So my answers about this are always going to be channeling what Spirit is saying. Okay, so as far as what I'm getting on this, right? Trump is in office at this point in time because humanity is looking to evolve. That doesn't mean that he's the one who's launching us on this beautiful spiritual peace woven path. I'm not saying that about anyone in office. What I'm saying is it's giving each of us the opportunity to see what feels right, what doesn't feel right, to live in the contrast, and to then make a choice. Over and over again, the last 6 months, Spirit has been telling myself, my clients that I'm reading for, know yourself. Start trusting yourself. We live in a world where there is false information everywhere. Like, just Google it. It doesn't even have to be political. You can find whatever you want it to say on Google, depending on how far into it you read. This is right. No, that's wrong. This is good for you. This is horrible for you.
Yes,
right?
Right.
So over and over again, trust your intuition, because this is really going to be important with where humanity is going, that you can tap into what you know is right.
Absolutely. And not being so swayed about like your right is different than my right could be.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make me wrong. And to like be very comfortable with that.
Absolutely. Because multiple truths can exist at one time.
Yes.
Your truth and my truth could be completely different and then exist for each of us. We don't have just one reality on the planet Earth. We have 8 billion realities happening right now because there's about 8 billion souls here. Okay. Each soul is having their own individual reality.
Their own experience.
Yes, absolutely. So we do have collective things that are happening, Republicans, Democrats, US, Russia, whatever it is. But at the same time, most importantly, notice what's going on and what's true for you. Because until you know your own truth, how are you going to decipher the truth in the rest of the world?
Yeah, you won't be able to. And that's where a lot of like the anxieties or the stress or the things can come from when
right.
Not solid.
And the other thing that I will just add on that is this, that in this world, right, people's humanity is being attacked. And we are being divided. We're not just that you're a human, but you know, maybe you live in America, maybe you don't. You're a Republican, you're a Democrat. Spiritually, we are being asked to remember that we are all one and not let outside forces divide us. Right? Yeah. So whether the tariff goes through or not, it would be a dividing outside force because it's separating us from the fact that we are all humans and we are all souls having, you know, a beautiful or trying to have a beautiful experience here.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. This question is from Caitlin. Does Spirit wait for us to acknowledge and ask for their help when opening up to our spiritual gifts? Should I be specific in my request or just let Spirit lead me as I know what is best and for my highest good?
Yeah. So Spirit is always wanting to connect with us. Always. That does not change. So what we have to do is we have to set aside time to say, okay, I'm going to set aside this 10 minutes to meditate, to connect, use your power of intention with my primary life guide, to connect with my guardian angel. Now, they're not going to give us everything. There's a reason why we are veiled on this planet and we don't remember our pre-life plan. And because of that, it's like having the cheat sheet, right? You can't go take the test and have all of the answers right here. You actually have to know them and learn them. So you're not going to get every answer that you want, but you can definitely get a lot more guidance and accurate navigation for where you want to go in life. And it's really about setting aside the time with intention.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Beth in Baltimore. Spirit guides, am I on the right track?
Yeah, well, I feel like you're on the right track. When I feel into that, what they're showing me is the answer is yes on that. Please expand what I'm hearing, expand your vision on what you want, right? So very often, even like in our humanness, we're told, don't ask for more, you have enough. Ask for more. I'm going to tell you the opposite. Ask for more. Ask for more in life. Ask for more abundance. Ask for more health. Ask for more friends. Ask for more. And also ask for more with your guides, because what I'm seeing, the way that they're showing it to me is you have 5 channels available to you, and you're using about 2.5 or 3 of them right now. So what we really want is for you to open up every channel. Okay, what is a channel? That could be different ways of communication. So some of it might be telepathic, some of it might be a knowing or a feeling, some of it could be using a pendulum or a tarot card or the billboard that says, something that you needed to hear that day. So the universe is constantly sending us signs, but what we want to do is open up as many channels as possible so that we have the best opportunity of catching the message or the signal.
And we have to be looking for them. I remember one time I had a reading with you and my grandpa came in and you told me, you're like, every time you see a penny, it's your grandpa trying, like he's there for you. And yesterday I was on a walk with my dogs and there in the street were like 4 or 5 pennies. And my husband picked him up and right away I was like, oh, hey, grandpa.
Yeah.
But it's like being in tune and like, I wasn't looking for the pennies, but when they presented themselves, I was able to like feel my grandpa know that he was there.
Yeah, to feel that connection.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they're always there, right? Our life guides really come in to keep us on track for our soul plan. That's kind of their job. They remember what we don't remember. They remember the challenges that we chose. And because of that, they're going to always give you options and opportunities and guide you, but you're not going to get the whole plan. Keep asking for more, though.
All right. This question is from Angela. She said, David died in December from COVID. He was 60 years old. He had a near-death experience when he was 17 and could also communicate with guides. I know he's trying to communicate with me. I would like tools to help me in my meditation or intuition.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. That's a great question. One thing I will tell you, on my website, I think it's a $25 video there about how to connect with your loved ones. So that might be something you're interested in checking out. However, some really basic tools are, number one, when you're wanting to connect with him, you don't want to do it in that place of desperation and grief, because what that does is that lowers our vibration and it shrinks our energy field. So what I want you to do, I want you to go watch a comedy. I want you to go have a lunch with your most funny friend. I want you to do something that raises your energy and expands it, because the way that this works, for me to connect to spirit, they are lowering their vibration and I'm having to raise mine on top of expand it. So when we talk about depression and grief, we're going into a low vibration and a shrunken energy field. So for you, number one, you've got to do something to make sure you're in a good high vibration, as high as you can get at the time. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start doing kind of easy exercises. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, you imagine a blank in your mind and you just say to him, show me what you're wearing today. And you see, what shirt is he wearing? You might ask him, because our smell is actually a quantum scent. Do you know this?
I didn't know that.
It's amazing. Okay, so technically, if there's someone you're quantumly entangled with, like your kids,
okay,
let's say Connor's across the country in New York, and Connor's smelling coffee. If you are in a meditative state, you should be able to smell the coffee through him because of the way it is entangled.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? But because of that, we're entangled with our loved ones in spirit. That's a quantum connection. It's not a physical connection. So we can do that with our loved ones in the morning. Let me smell where you are. Oh, it smells like the beach, smells like the mountain, smells like the wood shop, whatever it is. So really what I want you to do is create a space where you are playing with your loved one, not going in like, I need a sign, I can't take one more step. Both of those are real, but you have to understand the frequency behind them is the game changer.
Yeah, my grandpa's wanting to come in today, but I remembered that too. And he brought in the smell aspect. There was a time too, I was sitting there and the smell came in of Old Spice. That's what my grandpa always wore. And my eyes were closed and I could smell it and I knew he was there. But no one else had come in the room, but that smell came in and connected me right back to my grandpa. So that totally reminded me of that when you started talking about that.
So that's the easiest way. The next thing to do with communication, as far as that goes, and that's going to be something that I want you to spend, maybe a month on, right? Because what we have kind of like you have a neural pathway in your brain, we have a soul pathway, right? Our souls are connected. This is why there are many mediums who can communicate with people who are nonverbal, who are in a coma, because it's just a soul to soul connection. It doesn't matter if it's in a body or not. that connection is never ending and eternal. So play with it lightly like this in the beginning, and then we can move into bigger things. We can move into, okay, let me get a message from you. Maybe it's one word in the beginning, but you can expand on it.
And I remember you talking about, you mentioned like how when we're in grief, sometimes we can't feel that. And I remember after Gary passed and that heavy, heavy grief, but people were able to come to you and had messages for you from Gary.
Yes.
And so that reminded me of that, because it's like you were in that place, like you wanted it so badly, but there was so much grief there. And people were able to do that for you and be able to like channel those messages from him.
It was such a gift. And I will say this, be open to your loved ones, your life guides. They are talking to you through regular people every day. There were so many people that showed up for me that were not mediums, that were like, hey, I was asleep or I was meditating and Gary came through and said, you need to know this. I mean, I was getting, it was beautiful because I was getting bombarded with messages. So be open, because our loved ones are always talking to us. Thanks for bringing that up.
All right. Another one about a loved one. This is Joelle. If you can connect with my husband in spirit, I'm curious if he has any guidance for me and or my son for how we should move forward with the projects work we have in front of us.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing from him right now, Joelle, is that, well, two things. Number one, he's showing me so many hearts. So I need to acknowledge hearts as a sign from him to you. You're going to see the heart-shaped cloud, the heart-shaped water puddle, the leaf, like on and on. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing flickering lights. So he's just showing me different ways that he's trying to connect with you. The other thing is, I think your son has had a dream visit. So I want to acknowledge that at least one of you has had a very vivid dream visit. As you're moving forward, the energy he's giving me right now is he's calling it a slow pace right now, through April. And then what will happen is in May, I feel like he's showing me clarity. He's showing me bookshelves. So things are like getting lined up. There's a lot. The vision he's giving me is I have a stack of paperwork, right? I have a lot to get through. So whether you literally have a lot of paperwork or that's just the vision he's giving me, please know that he's telling you one step at a time. You will think about moving. I don't know if you've gotten to that point yet or not, but I do think that you will be considering that later in the year. The other thing, okay, he's also giving me right now like almost like a tapping or a bumping noise. So know that there are going to be you will hear him. It's coming from inside the structure of the house or wherever you live. So you might be like, what is that tap, tap, tap? It's him. It's him saying hello, hello, hello. I just want to see what else he has real quick, because I feel like I want him to give you a little bit more guidance on your next steps. But he's being very clear that this is going to be a longer process. So go easy during the month of April. And then with May, there's more of a momentum moving forward. He's showing me that your son's trying to take on a lot of the weight of either his passing or of the help with this, because he puts a lot of weight on him. So, I don't care if your son is 3 or 30, he's trying to step up and fill dad's shoes right now, is what your husband's showing me. So being aware of that. And your husband's giving him 2 thumbs up. So he's saying he's doing it. He's doing it at whatever level that is appropriate for him. There's also, he's wanting me to add one more thing before we get to the next question. Don't be afraid to let things go. Okay, so this is a big one, but so often when we have a loved one transition, we want to keep everything, their coffee mug, their shirt, their shoes, the car, the keychain. Like, we want to keep everything because we feel like this is our connection to them. Now, I want to say something about that. It does have their energy on it if they've touched it. So there is truth in that. And there's a reason why, like for me, a lot of times I'll sleep in Gary's shirts. I feel good. I can feel his energy, right? So here's the thing about that. What he is saying is, don't be afraid to let go, because sometimes we hold on to things that they didn't even care about, that they didn't even want. It wasn't something that was a big deal to them, but we feel like we owe it to them to keep it now. He's telling me there are a few things, a handful of things that are truly worth you holding on to. So if this is selling his car or, anything like that, he's honoring that you're still in human form and you have things you need to do, and literally let go of. Now, the time's going to be when it's right for you. There's never a perfect time, but just know that in spirit world, like, grandma doesn't really want me to have all of her china and all of her, everything, right? And her dresses that I would never even wear. So give yourself some, what he's telling me to say is like space around that. Don't take what was important to him. Take what's important to you.
I love that.
Thank you.
All right. This question is from Irina. What is the spirit take on AI, artificial intelligence, and its role in spirituality, if any?
Yeah. So, I love that too. Good question.
Yeah, that's
all
interesting.
right. It's fun. Let's see what happens here. So the information that I'm getting, and this really feels like it's coming through the angelic channel. So this isn't a life guide answer. This is an angelic answer, is that it's one more tool that can help connect us, or it can also really kind of destroy us. And I don't mean destroy as in the end of humanity, but let's talk about what we talked about earlier, false information, things where it's like tune into you. So AI in itself is not good or bad. It's neutral. It's like Google, but you can Google how to make a recipe or you could Google how to make a bomb, right? So it is going to be the power or the intention behind which it's being used. It's one more tool. Spirit will always, always, always tell you, have your own connection first. So I'm not going to go to Google to get my spiritual connection. I'm not going to go to AI. I'm actually not even going to go to, a lot of people for my connection. I go to source. I want you all to go to source. I am fine with religions. I think that they help a lot of people. They give us a channel, they give us a way. But at the end of the day, I want you to all have your own connection. So AI is a tool. I do not believe it's going to destroy humanity. I really don't in the overall scope of the world. Do you know that in communication, so 90% of communication is not usually our spoken word. It's our body language and tone behind it, right? So just be aware of that too as we're moving forward, because AI, you can read it just like a text, just like an email, with whatever tone you want in your head. And that's why I always say to people, if it's important, don't just send a text, because they could read it angry, they could read it sad, they could read it however. So know that the tone in the human interaction is really important.
Thank you. Yeah. And I feel like, as we talked about earlier, about the world moving faster, or time moving faster, and how it's going through so much change, like it just becomes more and more important that like we listen to ourselves and like rely on ourselves for what feels good. And there's all this information, but then like to tune into yourself, like, does that feel true to me? Does this feel good?
Right. One of the things that I'll do is, because I work with Jesus a lot, is I will ask him if I hear a statement or I hear something, I will literally say, how much truth is in this for me? And then a number pops in my head. I'll get 70%. So we hear things all day long that aren't necessarily 100% my truth or yours, but it resonates with me because 30% of me can feel that, right? Yeah. So whenever you're coming to that stage where you're like, is this truth? Throw it up, ask your angels, ask your life guides, ask grandma, whoever it is, and say, please show me a percentage of how much truth is in this for me. So let's think about that for a minute. In this world of contrast, it's not black and white. That's not the contrast we're talking about. That exists, but the majority of life happens in the gray, right?
Yes.
And there are different levels of gray, different depths of that. Depending on where you are standing when this statement comes in, it might have zero truth for you. And maybe in 2 years, you'll resonate with it 95%, depending on what has happened in your life. Here's the other thing that I'm hearing the angels saying right now. So I need to throw this out there. We've got to quit taking everything so personally, right? And they're bringing this up when we're talking about truths, because somebody could make a statement that is 100% true for them. And I've got to honor that and love that and realize that is 100% true for them and their life and their life story. But that doesn't make it 100% my truth. It doesn't mean that I'm not compassionate and empathetic and care. Absolutely, right? But don't be callous if their truth isn't yours. It's okay. It's their truth. It wasn't personal. It was personal for them, but not personal for you.
Yeah. And I just, to touch on that again, I loved how you said, like, when you ask Jesus, like, what part of that is true for me? It wasn't, what part of that is this a universal truth? It was, how true is this for me?
Right.
And really focusing on that.
Right. Because things that are true in my lifetime now, wouldn't have been true a few years ago.
Oh,
So there are
absolutely.
things
Yeah.
that people, or
Yeah.
even like working as a medium, working with people who had lost loved ones to suicide, right? I understood the spiritual perspective and all of that, but I had never gone through that personally. So something that might have not been true to me before that is true to me now because of my life experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My truths have totally shifted.
Mhm.
And maybe things that were 100% true, maybe are now 20% true with some different truths added in on it.
Right.
They just shift and change.
Yeah. So think about our life like this. We are in constant evolution. Constant evolution. This is why we outgrow people, places, situationships, relationships, whatever it is, because our souls actually came here to evolve. It's not, the evolution doesn't stop at age 15 or 25 or 35 or 55. It's a constant story, not just through this lifetime, but throughout eternity. Your soul will continue to evolve. And because of that, we've got to give ourselves that room to grow,
Yes.
to change our mind, to decide we like something now that we didn't like 10 years ago, or something that worked for us 10 years ago does not work anymore.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like open to that change.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
Yeah, right? Well, because we want to be locked in, right? Very often, and this is kind of a challenge with a long-term marriage. So I was married for 25 years. I was not the same person at the end of my marriage that I was at the beginning, not just because I had had 3 NDEs, but those were very significant. But we were meant to learn and grow and evolve. And so the fact that I ended up becoming a medium was very, very challenging for him. But when I married him when I was young, I didn't know I was a medium. I wasn't planning on that being my life path. But after the NDEs, that's what happened. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt and that growing isn't challenging and hard. It just means you've got to give yourself space for that to be part of your story.
And as well as giving ourselves that space, giving others that space as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's see. This question is from Lori.
Mm-hmm.
My father and mother are both on the other side. I believe they see my situation and know what I have been struggling with for a while. I would like to know from either or both of them, from their particular perspectives, if they have any insights about the situation that I may not be seeing yet, which will help put the current situation under better control.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to validate one thing. Our loved ones in spirit do know what's happening in our life here, period. So you are right when you're saying, I think they're connected. 100% they're connected. Does it mean that they can shift everything for us? No. Does it mean they'll bring you opportunities and possibilities? 100%. But I just kept hearing and I want to go with your dad because it was a male voice, is clarity, clarity, clarity. So you have a lot more clarity coming in for you in the next 3 weeks. Don't rush any decisions right now. They are connected. I need to say this. They're showing me, like at the end of a play, if these big curtains were coming across a stage, it was closing, it was ending. This chapter needs to end. So those curtains are rolling across the stage. It's time, but there's more clarity for you coming. Doesn't mean that it feels good, right? Endings are hard a lot of the time. So, but just know that once that curtain closes, then it's time for the next act.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Alejandra.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Spirit. I have the opportunity to participate in a class/certification to awaken my psychic abilities, understand and read energy, among other things. It is a financial commitment that I have never taken. Is this the right time for my soul to do it?
I'm feeling like I want you to give yourself a couple more months.
Okay.
The way that your guides are showing that to me, it's like right now, because of the energy in the world, I don't know about you guys, but March was hectic for me, for my clients, like all of that. There were a lot of things going on planetary wise. Because of that, what I will tell you is take your time. You're not meant to be rushed right now. You are, but I do feel like you are going to take this opportunity. I do feel like it's going to play out well for you because that's what your guides are showing me. But don't rush into it. There's something else that's going to be presented in the next 3 to 6 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, that's all the questions we have for today.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We have comments we didn't get to.
Oh, we did. Okay.
We did. We will get to them next time or answer them in the chat. All right. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. This is what I did last time. See, at least I did it this time. I